Alrighty, fellas. I know it's been 8 days since I've uploaded anything, and I apologize for that. I just needed a little break away from making content and the internet entirely. So, yeah, I'm better now. But if you clicked on this video, you probably want to know how to deal with Season 5's Astrolabe nodes. Have no fear, I'm here. And without further ado, boys, let's get straight into the guide. Ikaze. Oh, and P.S. I will have timestamps for you guys in the video embedded and in the description. So, if you want to skip around to different stages of this guide, feel free to do so. Alrighty, boys, let's go ahead and get started with the first Guardian Stella. With this Stella, you're going to want to run a single target DPS, in which case I decided to run 4-star Mont, because not gonna lie, this boss doesn't really have a lot of HP, and you can just get away with bringing a very low budget DPS in this fight. You can bring other options too, like, you know, 4-star Fleuret, Makoto Nijima, Ryuji, etc., right? Like, you can get away with any single target, but in this case, I feel like Mont is more appropriate here since it's kind of a more father stage. So, how does this team work? Essentially, Mont is your main DPS, Luce and Moko are your main support / strategists, and Wonder is just there to debuff and buff. I will show you the persona rotations and the team order on the screen, along with the revelation cards. And of course, for Wonder Dagger, you do have a couple of options. You can run Ex Machina, but if you do run Ex Machina, you're going to have to make sure that the starter line persona is Ice, so that it's a Ice amp. Or you can run Arc Knife for extra defense shred like I did, because mine's is a 6 or R6. But yeah, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. So let's go ahead and talk about the first Guardian Stella on the left here. So for this stage, you're going to want to run a DPS that can inflict ailments. Vino or Makoto Nijima are very good picks for this stage. If you don't have Makoto Nijima, you can always just run Vino with another single target DPS. As for what is the role that this team plays, well, Makoto obviously is going to be my main single target DPS. Vino is going to be my main debuffer. And Sepia, well, Sepia is just fodder. He's just there for chip damage. And we don't really need a navigator here. If you were to need a navigator, you can always put in Okayon or any low rarity 4-star navigator. As for Wonder Personas, I'm going to be running Dionysus with Rebellion, Vishnu with Wind of Nirvana, and Bishamonten for Imperial Purge to give Makoto Nijima a nuke amp. As for Wonder Daggers, you have two options. You could run either Arc Knife for more defense shred. It also helps with applying ailments. Or you can run Ex Machina. But of course, with Ex Machina, you're going to want to set Bishamonten as your starter persona so that the whole team gets a nuke amp. As for the turn order, you're going to want Queen to go last, of course, and, you know, anyone else can go before her. Yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. So for the second Guardian Stella on the left here, you're going to want to bring a team with 2 or more DPSs. In this case, I decided to run Ryuji and Sepia. If you want like another cheaper alternative, you can always do like Fleuret, Sepia. Just mix and match DPSs. This stage is quite easy. As for the roles of my party members, Sepia is really there just for a third, slot just to fill up the team. Ryuji is going to be our main solo carry DPS, and Leon being our main support / strategist. If you do need extra damage, feel free to run Okayon here. She can work. As for the Wonder Daggers and Personas, Chernobog and Vishnu, along with Yanoshik is what I use. Mainly just all defense shred Personas, since Ryuji does guarantee the crit with Leon on this team to get him below 70% HP. As for Wonder Daggers, you can run the Eye Dagger. You can run Ex Machina. Of course, with Ex Machina, make sure Chernobog is the starter line persona for the physical amp. And of course, Arc Knife at R6 if you need the extra defense shred. As for the turn order, always make sure the Yuji goes last, as he's your main DPS. And other than that, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. So boys, welcome to your first Lord Stella stage, and of course it's on the left. This stage practically screams A1 twins DPS. Now, for those of y'all that are like me that have A0 twins, you're probably going to be doing very minimal damage here. So your alternative is to run a sweeper in this stage. In my case, I decided to run Haru. Now, if you do want me to talk about the A1 twins version of the team, of course the team will compose of A1 twins in the sweeper role, that being Fire, Ice, Bless, and Curse, along with Cord as your main strategist, and Wind Tempest as your secondary strategist. The Navigator can of course be Futaba. Make sure if you are running DPS twins, you run them with their DPS rev set being Freedom, Disappointment instead of Negativity and Power. As for turn order for that team, you're going to want the A1 twins to go last. Now, let's go ahead and talk about how I cleared it with one attempt. So with my team, of course, Haru is my main DPS. The twins are going to be my strategist slash medic. And of course, Cord is going to be our secondary support strategist here, and Futaba being my name navigator. In terms of personas that I used and the Wonder Dagger, I went ahead and used Rebellion on Dionysus, Marakunda on Cert, and lastly, Shiva's Dance of Destruction to amp up Haru's damage. In terms of turn order, you always want Cord to go third and Futaba to go last. Oh, and I forgot to mention, in terms of daggers, you have two options. You can run R6 Ex Machina. Of course, if you do that, make sure a Psy persona is your starter. You know, Dionysus or Shiva in this case. Or you can run R6 Starry Compass if you need the extra defense shreds. In this case, I have R6 Starry Compass, so I went ahead and ran that. And without further ado, boys, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. So with this Guardian Stella, you're just gonna want to bring a single target team. You can do stuff like the Makoto Nijima team, the Mesa team, the Frostgale Katone team, Sumi team, whatever. You know, but in this case, I wanted to be free to play friendly as possible. So I decided to run a Fleuret team variant. So what does each party member do on this team? So Shoki and Moko are my main support / strategist for this team. Fleuret is going to be the main DPS, and Okayan as my main navigator. As for the Wonder Dagger and Wonder Personas, I decided to run Norn with Garudine, Vishnu, and Dominion for cohesion. So basically 2 defense shred personas and a damage amping persona, since I don't really need to cap out Fleuret's crit rate since it already is. So I don't need Dionysus Rebellion, but if you aren't capped, then, you know, Dionysus Rebellion can work. As for Wonder Personas, you do have 2 options. You can either run Ex Machina. Now, if you do that, make sure your starter line persona is Wind. Or you can run R6 Arc Knife if you need the extra defense reduction. In this case, I opted out for R6 Arc Knife. In terms of the turn order, you want Fleuret to go last as he's your main DPS. And the others, well, they don't really matter as long as Fleuret is going last. Now, without further ado, let's get straight into the run, y'all. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. So for the final Guardian Stella on the left here, you either want to run a Psi DPS, a Bless DPS, or a Curse AoE DPS. Now, Nuke, there's not really a lot of Nuke AoE DPSs, but in this case, I decided to run the S-Closer team. In terms of what my party members do, Summer Closer, of course, being my main DPS, Minami being my main buffer slash sustain for as closer. Yuki is just there because I need a third slot, and Okayon is there to be our navigator. Now, in terms of personas and Wonder Dagger, I decided to run Dionysus with Rebellion, Cert with Marakunda, and Dominion for Cohesion. Now, for Wonder's Dagger, you do have two options. You can run R6 Ex Machina. Of course, as always, if you're running Ex Machina, make sure you set a Bless DPS as your starter, so that it becomes a Bless damage amp. You can also run R6 Glimmer. In this case, I decided to run R6 Glimmer. As for the turn order, you always want Summer Closer to go last, as she is your main DPS. And without further ado, boys, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. So boys, welcome to the final Lord Stella on the far left. Now, if you read the effects of the stage, obviously you want to bring the Sumi team. Now, you can also get away with just running Cord with like a main single target DPS with like a good highlight, like Makoto Nijima, Frostgale Katone, or even Mesa can work. In this case, I decided to be a little bit cheap and run the Makoto Nijima team instead of running the Sumi team. Now, of course, the Sumi team is going to be the best team, but today I cleared it with the Makoto Nijima team, so I'll be explaining to y'all how I did it. So obviously, Makoto is going to be my main single target DPS. Cord is going to be my main support. Vino is going to be our main sab / debuffer. And Futaba is going to be the main navigator. In terms of Wonder Personas and Daggers, I decided to run Dionysus with Rebellion, Vishnu with his Wind of Nirvana for defense shreds and Windswept, and lastly Bishamonten for his nuke damage amp on his skill 1. As for Wonder's Daggers, you can choose between R6 Ex Machina, of course set Bishamonten as your starter for the nuke amp, or Arc Knife at R6 if you need the extra defense reduction and the EHR / chance to land your elements better. And without further ado, boys, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. So, for the first Guardian Stella on the right here, this stage is quite self-explanatory. Just bring an AoE DPS of any kind. In this case, you can run the On team. Heck, you can even make 4-star Closer your main AoE DPS if you wanted to. But today, we'll be teaching you how to run the On team. So obviously, this is mono fire. In terms of the roles, Luful is going to be the main sustain. He can also buff On as well with his heals. Key is going to be our main Saboteur, debuffing everyone on the field, inflicting burns. As for our Wonder Dagger and Wonder Personas, I decided to run Dionysus with Rebellion, Throne with his Purifying Flames, and Baphomet for Red Hot. Now, for the Wonder Dagger, you do have two options. You can run either R6 Ex Machina. Of course, make sure you set a Fire Persona as your starter line for the Fire Amp. Or Starry Compass at R6. That can also work if you need extra defense shreds. Or if you have Purgatory, that can also work as well. But I found Ex Machina and Starry Compass to be way more consistent. And for turn order, you just want On to be last, as she is your main DPS, and everyone else can go wherever the heck they want. Just make sure your On goes last. And without further ado, boys, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. So for the second stage on the right side, you're going to want to bring a DPS that has a follow-up, aka a resonance. In this case, characters such as Yui can do it, Frostgale Katone can also do it, and Yusuke. In this case, I decided to run the Yusuke team, Yusuke being my main AoE DPS. I brought along Yuki to buff up Fox. Soy is just there to debuff, to be honest, and Miyu is just here to apply her defense buffs onto Fox as our main navigator. As for the Wonder Personas and Daggers, I decided to run Dionysus with Rebellion, King Frost with his signature skill, Snow King's Protection. Lastly, Sandalphon with Devoted Guard. As for the Wonder Dagger, you can choose... Okay, I'm gonna be real, there's only one option for this team. It's all in. But, yeah. You can indeed do R6, Starry Compass for extra defense shreds. Or you can even do something like, R6 Ex Machina. Of course, if you do that, make sure you have, King Frost as your starter line, so that, Fox gets the Ice Amp. But I found all in to be more consistent, because it helps buff Fox's defense. And as you know, he is a defense scaling DPS. In terms of the turn order, you just want, Fox to go last, as he is your main DPS. But to be honest, the turn order really doesn't matter for the most part, because, he's a counter-based DPS. But yes, you do want him fourth. And without further ado, let's get straight into the run. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. Welcome to your first Lord Stella on the right. So, with this stage, you just want to make sure you bring Rico so that she can down the enemies. So we're mainly just going to be spamming Rico S1 so that we can get an increased damage whenever enemies are knocked down. In terms of this team, I decided to run the Ryuji team because there's only really 2 enemies, and the Ryuji team can just smoke them up really fast. So, of course, Ryuji is our main single target DPS. Leon is going to be my main buffer strategist. Shun is going to be my main debuffer / pseudo sustain. And Rico is here just to down the enemies and be our main navigator. In terms of Wonder Persona and Dagger, I decided to run all defense shred personas, as Ryuji with Leon can guarantee the crit since he is usually under 70%. So Chernobog with Verdict of Agony, Vishnu with Wind of Nirvana, and Yanoshik with Rakunda. I forgot to put Rakunda in the graphic, but yes, you do want Yanoshik Rakunda here. In terms of the Wonder Dagger, you do have 3 options. You can run R6 Ex Machina. Make sure you set Chernobog as your starter for the Fizz amp. You can run the actual Fizz Dagger itself, the Eye Dagger, or you can run R6 Arc Knife if you need extra defense reduction. In this case, I opted out for R6 Arc Knife. In terms of the turn order, you just want Ryuji to go last as he is your main DPS. Other than that, anyone can go before him. And yeah, let's get straight into the run, y'all. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys, welcome to my favorite stage in this season's Astrolabe. the Wonder DPS stage. So how does this team work, you ask? Well, obviously, Wonder is going to be your main DPS with Yoshitsune, Hasatobi, Gobur. Lucia is going to be your main strategist. Moko is going to be your secondary strategist, followed by Vino, who's going to be debuffing, and Okion as our main navigator. In terms of Wonder personas and Dagger, of course, Hasatobi Gobur is going to be your main persona. That's all you're going to be using this fight. Followed by any of your highest stat stick personas. In this case, I had a level 99 Vishnu and a level 99 Yanoshik. In terms of the Dagger, there are two options, but the best option is going to be Abyss Fang, followed by the second being Sunlight Inferno, however the heck you pronounce that. As for turn order, you just want Wonder to go last, as he is your main DPS. Other than that, let's go ahead and get straight into business. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. So for this Stella, you just want to bring someone that can proc a shield. And if they do proc that shield, we do get a damage increase. So I decided to run the Ryuji team here. But if you have the Yusuke team with Cherish and Yukimi, you can also run that. But today, I'll be showing you how I did it with the Ryuji team. So obviously, Ryuji is going to be our main DPS. Yuki is just going to be here to proc her shields. Leon is going to be our main strategist. And Miyu is going to be our main navigator that can also proc shields. In terms of the Wonder Dagger and Wonder Personas, I decided to run Sandalphon here with Devoted Guard, Vishnu with Wind of Nirvana and Rakunda, and Yanoshik here with Rakunda with Mark. Lastly, for Wonder's Daggers, you do have a couple of options. You have access to R6 Ex Machina. Of course, if you run Ex Machina, make sure you set a physical persona as your starter line to get the physical amp. You can run the actual physical dagger itself, the Eye Dagger, or in this case, I decided to run R6 Arc Knife for the extra defense shred. Now for the turn order, you're just going to want Ryuji to go last as he is your main DPS. And without further ado, boys, let's get straight into the run. Ikuze. Alrighty, boys. So for this stage, you're going to want to bring a debuff cleanser. In this case, I decided to run Minami. And once we do cleanse Intimidation from our main squad, we will get a damage amp. So how do you run this team? S Closer is going to be our main DPS. Minami is going to be our main cleanser / buffer for Summer Minami. And Luful is just there to maintain a third slot because I needed a third character on the team. As for Phoebe, she's going to be our main navigator since I decided to practically run Mono Bless. As for the personas and the Wonder Dagger, I decided to run Neon Show with Disaster Ward, Dionysus with Rebellion, and Cohesion on Dominion to amp up Closer's damage. In terms of Wonder Dagger, you do have 3 options. You can run R6 Ex Machina. Now at Ex Machina, you're going to want to run a Bless Persona, aka Dominion, as your starter line to get the Bless amp. Starry Compass at R6 is pretty good for an AoE defense shreds, but I decided to run the actual Bless amp dagger itself, that being R6 Glimmer. As for the turn order, you just want S Closer to go last, as she is your main DPS after all. And without further ado, boys, let's get straight into the run. Ikuze. Alrighty, boys. Welcome to the final stage before the big, bad, and the ugly. So at this stage, obviously, you want to bring a melee or gun-focused team. So the Chinese New Year Rin team with Matoy, or, you know, the Haru team with Smoko can work. But if you don't have either of those two options, you can just always run an AoE team with Futaba, because the enemy's HP values are so low that practically any sweeper team can clear the stage even without abusing the effects. But in this case, I decided to run the Haru team because I love Haru. She's going to be our main DPS, followed by Cord, who's going to be the main strategist. Twins are going to be here as our strategist slash medic, and Futaba as our main navigator. In terms of Wonder Personas, I decided to run Cert with Marakunda here, Dionysus with Rebellion, and Shiva for Dance of Destruction to amp up Haru's damage. As for Wonder's Dagger, you have two options. You can run R6 Ex Machina. Of course, if you're running R6 Ex Machina, set a Psy Persona as your starter to get the Psy amp. But if you don't have that, you can also run Starry Compass, which is a very good dagger for Haru. Good AoE defense shreds, can, you know, buff Psy damage. It's a pretty good dagger for her. In terms of the turn order, you just want Cord going third and Haru going last. Basically, the usual. And without further ado, let's head straight into the run, y'all. Ikaze. Boys, I just want to congratulate y'all for getting this far into the guide. Welcome to the Fate Stella. You're almost home, y'all. Just one more stage. But anyways, this stage screams Joker Anj. You want to abuse the extra action increase of damage. So Joker, with his extra actions, extra turns, can be really good paired with Anj the Capo. Now, if you don't have Anj, you can always just run the Joker team by itself, but replace Anj with like Futaba. Now, if you don't have Joker, you can always sub in like Haru. You can sub in with Chinese New Year Rin. You can even do A1 Sweeper Twins, as well as they can be a very solid DPS here. But in this case, I found the Joker team to be very consistent. And heck, man, my Joker is super bricked, and I was still able to get the one attempt clear. But anyways, how does this team work? Joker, obviously, is going to be our main DPS. Wind Tempest is going to be our main strategist. Twins, my twins are A0, by the way. I ran them as the strategist slash medic role. And lastly, Anj is going to be our main navigator, proccing the Capo for the extra action. As for Wonder Personas and Dagger, I ran Cert with Marakunda, Dionysus with Rebellion, and Dominion with Cohesion for the damage amp proccing to Joker. As for the Wonder Daggers, you do have a few options. You can run R6 Ex Machina, but if you do that, you're going to have to probably run Alice so that, you know, Joker gets the Curse Amp from Ex Machina. But me, I decided to run R6 Starry Compass for the extra AoE defense shreds. As for the turn order, you just want to have Joker going last, as he is your main DPS, and everyone else can go whenever the heck they please. Other than that, y'all, let's get this Fate Stella over with. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. So if you've made it to this stage, first off, amazing job for clearing everything up to this point. You've earned some breathing room, and you've earned some high praise, because it is not easy full clearing Astrolabe. It definitely is not. But enough with my yapping. Let's go ahead and talk about this stage. So with this stage, you're going to want to bring a single target, fire, ice, electric, or wind unit. In this case, wind has more options, being Frostgale Katone and Fleuret, my goat Fleuret. You can run both of them on the same team as well, but in this case, I decided to run the Goat Ret variant of the wind team. So obviously, Fleuret is going to be my main single target DPS, followed by my strategist being Wind Tempest and Twins. And as for your navigator, you can do anything. You can do either Futaba or you can do Anj. It really doesn't matter. The stage is quite peepo comfy. As for the Wonder Personas and the Dagger, since my Fleuret's crit rate cap is already close, or 100% actually, I decided just to run defense shred personas. In this case, I decided to run Vishnu, Norn with Rakunda and Garudine. Sorry, I forgot to put Garudine in the graphic, but yes, you do want to run Norn with Garudine. And lastly, Yanoshik with Rakunda to apply the defense down and some extra defense shred with Mark. As for the Wonder Daggers, you can run Ex Machina at R6. Of course, if you do that, set a Wind Persona as your starter line to get the Wind Amp. Or you can run Arc Knife for the extra defense reduction. In this case, I did, since mine is R6. As for the turn order, of course, Goat Ret has to go last, as he is your main DPS, as always. And yeah, let's go ahead and get this guide over with y'all. Ikaze. Alrighty, boys. Thank you so much for watching this guide. And if you really enjoyed this one, leave a like, leave a sub. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, y'all. And if you do have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll get to you as soon as I possibly can. And yeah, just look forward to a couple of future videos I have planned. I have a couple of video essays for like my pull plans, single target DPS comparison, guild bossing guides, SOS guides. I'm cooking, y'all. Just give me time. And yeah, until the next video, deuces. As our main strategist, along with Phoebe as our main navigator. Oh shit, Phoebe? Oh fuck, Mr. Nomber. Hey, if you're looking at the graphic for Guardian M1, can you like fucking crop out Phoebe, bro? Cause like, what the fuck? Jerry, I didn't mean to do that on the graphic, but anyways.